What motivated it were those roundtables I did at GDC in 2023, when the community managers and the volunteer moderators sat around the roundtable and one person said, I get a 3-month training program. And the next person said, what are you talking about? I get a PDF and some well wishes. And then the third person was like, I have a degree in English literature and I'm running a community of 500,000 people.
I'm Cassie Coquero, Head of Communications at Thorn.
And I'm Paylor Talai, Senior Manager of Partnerships at Thorn, and this is Safe Space.
This is a conversation. TrustCon's coming up. I feel like this investment, ROI, trust and safety, cost center or not, it just keeps circulating. So I'm excited to keep having that conversation. And I'm really glad that you're going to continue to have that conversation because you have so much insight about it. But I want to pivot us for a second and talk about something that you're building right now. Yes. And that is the DLC leadership program that you're working on. So if you could just tell us for a minute, what is it for people who have never heard of it and what made you want to build it?
Yes, the DLC leadership program is the first modular asynchronous certification program for digital leaders. So it is a space where you will gain a foundational level of knowledge about things like de-escalation and self-care and operational security and all the things that we're supposed to have knowledge about as leaders in the digital space. And then also get a certificate for doing it, which is a professionalization of the field of the skills we already have. What motivated it were those roundtables I did at GDC in 2023, when the community managers and the volunteer moderators sat around the roundtable and one person said, I get a 3-month training program. And the next person said, what are you talking about? I get a PDF and some well wishes. And then the third person was like, I have a degree in English literature and I'm running a community of 500,000 people. And people are coming up all the time with these intense mental health conversations, and I don't know what to do with them. And I thought, oh, well, this can't be great. We really should have some kind of foundational level of knowledge. But getting educational initiatives funded is very difficult. So it took multiple years. But thankfully, for the generosity of China Light Gaming, who's funding the pilot of this program, we're building it now and running a pilot this year. And then hopefully it'll launch later in the year publicly for everyone.
That is so cool and so exciting. And it seems like, I'm sure the actual content of the program itself is going to be amazing. And it seems like just as important is the professionalization and the formalization and making it sort of uniform and giving people a place to, a little bit of a roadmap that seems like it just didn't exist before.
That's it. That's the goal. And we have a bunch of wonderful organizational supporters, like No Filter is one, Riot Games, Roblox, Kowert Studios, who have all come together to lend their expertise to this space. And it's also important to note that it's free. Like, that's half the point, is that it has to be free, that people can have access to it and get this knowledge. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that actually. But I want to back up for a second. What was the moment? Do you remember the moment you conceived of this? Like, what was the aha moment? You were like, I need to build this program.
The aha moment was the one person at the roundtable who said, literally, I have a community of 500,000 people and a degree in English literature. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, I was just really active in this community and somehow worked my way up to being the head of the community. And I'm like, well, what do you do when someone is, entering your community with like suicidal ideation or, and they're like, wing it. That does not seem like the plan.
Right. It seems like a relic of the times when the internet was separate from non-internet life, right? And we need so many things like this to catch us up to the fact that it's just all shared. This is just life now.
That's it. I have this phrase I say a lot in my talks, which is online and offline is a false dichotomy. And I like to make the plug that one day I'll have a TED Talk and that'll be my hook because it's true. And yet still seems so surprising to some people when you say it. But there's no imaginary walls containing these spaces. They're so fluid.
All right, we got to get you on the TED stage. We're going to talk about that
one day.
So you've talked a little bit, quite a bit actually, about the community leaders you're building this for and the things that they're sort of lacking and why this is important. But talk a little bit more about those actual community leaders. What do they actually need that they're not getting right now?
So many skills. So I did some research last year with China Light Gaming and I asked them, I said, here's a list of skills that I think are probably relevant to community leadership. Which ones are relevant and which one do you have a lot of training in? Do you have no training in? A little bit of training in? And the vast majority of them came back and said, I've had no formal training in de-escalation, self-care, moderating sensitive topics, empathetic listening, operational security, like across the board, the kind of foundation level of skills that are necessary for any kind of leadership position, but particularly digital leaders in spaces where you're losing context cues. You have people from all different demographics and cultures. So it's really setting the broadest foundation possible, because even if they've had some training in these skills, they haven't had a lot.
That's great. I am curious what success will look like to you. Like, let's say we're a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line. What's your vision for where it goes? And what will make you look at it and say, wow, I'm so glad I did this?
Oh, it would make me happy to have a lot of people complete it, know that people are going into the world with some sense of preparation, of not only how to handle difficult situations, but also like the informed consent of what this job actually entails, which I think this program also does a really good job of. Like, what do you mean I need to understand terrorism? Like, well, it will help you, in these spaces. So that would be success. And also, because I am a research psychologist, we're of course doing pre-post testing. So showing that, their knowledge has improved, or, their communities are 1% more resilient, that would be a win.
That's awesome. So, the last thing I'll ask you about this, unless there's more you want to tell us, I love hearing about it, is if people are listening to this or watching this and they want to get involved, what can they do?
You can go to dlcleadership.org. There's a button there to sign up and learn more. We are running the pilot now, but later in the year, we'll have the first public opening for participants to come. So first come, first serve. We are capping at 100 for each cohort. So yeah, come and learn more.
That's awesome.
So Rachel, I spoke to so many people, in the last couple of months about the DLC leadership program, and it feels like that's part of the infrastructure that's there to support the people who are on the front lines every day. So thank you for helping build that infrastructure. It really feels like that's kind of where the investment needs to go right now.
I agree. And thank you for telling people about it.
If you found that interesting, there's more to this conversation. You can catch additional highlights and the full Safe Space episode here.